Welcome to Part of My Imagination. I'm Imagination and you're the Imaginers. Welcome if this is your first time. My name is Jasmine and welcome back if this is your second or third or however many times you come to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a more in-depth wrap up of the books that I read in October. I'm only going to be talking about 5 books and this is the first 2 weeks that I read. I did only read 11 books. Your girl was slacking in October. So hopefully I'll pick it up in November. But let's just get into the wrap up. Okay, so the first book that I read is The Gilded Wolves by Chokshi. I give this book 4 stars. The new book is out. Pretty much it's just following this group of, or a gang of groups. Wow, okay. It's following a group of people. One who essentially is trying to get his name back to prove that he is the last heir to this house, that it had fallen or whatever. And, you know, there's another girl that has a power, but there's something that happened to her body, and she's battling that. And then you have this science nerd who is socially awkward, and she doesn't know how to take social cues, but she's extremely smart. And then you have Enrique. Oh, my sweet summer child. He is pretty much the historian that does all the research and connects all the dots. And then there is another character who pretty much is like the shy, timid. And essentially they come together because they have to steal an item. And to steal that item will restore... why can I not remember his name? This is going to bug me. Cebrion. There we go. Why can I not remember that? Essentially, them stealing this item, they pretty much are called forgers. And different forgers have different powers on things that they can forge. So this guy steals the real things, or he steals forgeries. And he has to steal this item so that he can restore his family's name and be the heir and get all this fucking money. Well, obviously, things don't always go the way that you planned them to. So, yes, I highly recommend this book. I thought it was really good. I thought the band of characters were extremely interesting. There is definitely some there is definitely some gay romance going on in this thing. There's also some forbidden love going on in this thing. There's some sexual tension going on in this bad boy. So I would check it out. Okay, so the next book was actually just a random pick for me because my coworker was talking about reading the Lord of the Rings series, and I was like, oh, I'll buddy read it with you. That didn't happen. 1, because he's a slow reader, and 2, because I didn't read The Hobbit. So I did pick up The Hobbit by R R Tokken. And if you don't know what this book is about, it's about hobbits. I don't know what else you want me to say. Essentially, it's following these hobbits that have to go on an adventure. Gandalf comes to the hobbit's house and's like, bro, you're going on an adventure. And he's like, I don't want to go on no damn adventure. But then he gets like dragged into this adventure across the goddamn world. And that's where he ends up finding the ring. If you don't know about the Lord of the Rings, he finds this ring. You know, the my precious. That shit, yeah. He finds the ring. And I think that he is the family of like Frodo, essentially. But yeah. So they go on this fucking adventure. They cause havoc. Shit happens. And they live happily ever after. But let me tell you what, this book was honestly, I don't want to say it was boring, but like, this is a children's book. So like, they went on this adventure. They caused so much fucking havoc, all because they wanted to go on an adventure. They literally caused a fucking war because they wanted to go on an adventure and get some treasure. Three stars. All right, the next book that I read was Everybody Looking by Cadence, Iloh. And this book was kindly sent to me by Penguin Teen. I am a Penguin Teen influencer. Yes. Occasionally, maybe, yes. I am. But yes, they kindly sent this to me because they were trying to essentially give this book out to own voices. This is told in verse, and it's following this girl who is a Nigerian. And she's dealing with the pressures of living up to her Nigerian father's image while battling a relationship that she doesn't have with her mother, as well as going to college. She's also battling some things about her sexuality and really what she wants to be. Does she want to be the person that she wants to be, or does she want to be the image of what her father expects her to be as a Nigerian? I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. Honestly, I would reread it again. Like I said, it is told in verse. I did read along as well as listen to the audiobook. Highly recommend the audiobook as well. But I really love this book, and I was looking at it more from a parent perspective because obviously I am not Nigerian. So I understand the pressures of your family and wanting to live up to your family's expectations and things like that. So I understand that part, but I took out of this book as a parent. I am a parent of 2 7-year-olds. I have twin girls, if you didn't know. And just seeing how the negative impact on her parents, and although as a parent you might think you are doing the best for your child, sometimes you're not, and you are being damaging. And this book made me cry. I cry a lot. I feel like anytime I read a contemporary, I cry. I don't know if it's a contemporary or if it's me, but we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to move on because I'm a gangster and gangsters don't cry. But yeah, I honestly love this book. I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. All right, the next book that I read was Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes. Let me take this sticker off. Hold on. All right, so this book is actually the second book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I honestly love the Fallen Kingdom series. I actually did a reread with Princess. She read it last month. Last month being August. Or no, September. September? Yeah, September. She read it in September. I also reread Fallen Kingdoms in September. And I loved it again so much. I gave Fallen Kingdoms 5 stars. I also gave this one, did I give it 5 stars? I want to say yes. Yes, I also gave this book 5 stars. And it's just continuing on with, the last one. And I just fell more in love with Chloe. I fell more in love with, it's right there. Malcolm? Is it? No, it's not. Magnus. I knew it started with an M. Magnus. I really enjoyed them in the first book, and I am enjoying them more in the second book. Oh my God, I love them so much. The princess. Okay, anyways, let me tell you what Fallen Kingdom is about before I go into this whole spill. Essentially, the first book is about this country or countries. There's 3 countries that all align in each other. One of them doesn't believe in magic. The other one believes magic is gone, or they all know that magic was taken away from the world. One of them believes in one goddess, different types of religion. We know how countries are. Countries that have different religions, that border each other, that try to get along. Sometimes they don't get along. But it's following 4 main characters. You have Chloe, who is a princess in one kingdom. She pretty much is the naive princess. She's never been out of her comfort zone. She's never been out of the kingdom. She doesn't really understand what's going on in the world around her. She just feels like everything within inside the palace revolves around the palace. And then you have Magnus. Magnus is actually a prince in another kingdom. And he is pretty much stone cold. He doesn't have any emotions, really. He only cares about his younger sister, which is another main character, and her name is, shit, what's her fucking name? I don't even remember because I just don't care about, you know, what is her name? Lucilia, there it is. So he only pretty much loves Lucilia. He wants to protect her. And then there's Lucilia, who is Lucilia. Like, nobody really cares. At least right now, I don't care. And then the last character is, I'm so bad with remembering characters' names. Jonas, there it is. Jonas. Jonas is a regular man who is, or boy, I should say, that lives in the third country. And when Chloe and her friend go into this country, they end up killing Jonas's brother, and it causes this big rift between the three countries and starts a war. That's pretty much all I want to know. This is definitely high in political, and it's a definitely high in political intrigue. I don't know why I repeated myself, but yes, the second one was honestly just like phenomenal. I loved it. I know I'm going to love this series. So check out Fallen Kingdoms. All right, and the last book that I'm going to talk about, which is one of the last books that I read in the first 2 weeks of October, is The Cutting Season by Attica Locke. I gave this book a 3 stars. Yeah, I gave it about 3 stars. This is actually a thriller. This is one of the books that I picked for the Black Oweenathon. And this was a recommendation on the list of books that we were trying to fill. I believe this is a thriller, mystery thriller. Well, it's more of a mystery than it is thriller. There wasn't really anything like I was afraid. But essentially, it's following this woman who is a manager on this plantation. And it's not like back in the like slavery days. This is actually like, the plantation is essentially a museum. People have reception there. They have weddings. Why you would ever want to have a wedding on a plantation? Literally, it still boggles my mind. But it is what it is. So there is this woman who is the manager, and she actually was raised on this plantation back when her mother and her grandmother and her ancestors before her, all her ancestors were on this plantation. And it's following a case where a woman ends up dead on here, and they're trying to figure out who it is. Well, not only is she trying to solve the case of who killed this woman, but she's also trying to solve the case of what actually happened with her family on this plantation. And although I did enjoy kind of seeing the history of, like, you know, knowing where you're coming from, knowing exactly your family's history and things like that, the mystery part wasn't really there for me. I will say I did not see who the murder was. I didn't see that coming at all. But there were just times that it just dragged on. And the main character just made choices where I was just like, can you not? Why would you do that? Why would you make that choice? So that's why I gave it 3 stars. I still highly recommend it. It was, well, I won't say highly recommend. I do recommend this book. Maybe it's just not for me because I just don't read that much mystery or thriller. So maybe it just wasn't my cup of tea. I did enjoy it though. The main character kind of just irritated me a little bit. But other than that, yeah, like I said, I gave it 3 stars. All right, so those are the first books that I read in the first week and second week of October. Be on the lookout for the second wrap up of the other half. So those were 5 books, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Be sure to check out my description where you will find easy ways to contact me, as well as all the books that I talked about. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if not, just imagine that you didn't come back again. Until next time, keep imagining.